Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the 143. This is Under Review coming at you live with episode 103. Nick, how are we doing today?
We've made it pretty far. We have surpassed well over 100 episodes, so that feels pretty good. Obviously, doozy this week. Big weekend for the Cowboys, picking up an uncontroversial win on Saturday. The game happened how it should have, and now we're in a position to take the NFC East and also the 2 seed and get a home playoff game. So, feeling pretty good as a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Agreed. Let's get us started with the stat of the week brought to you by Andrews Logistics. Of the quarterbacks, 16 AFC quarterbacks that started week 1, only 5 are starting in week 17. CJ Stroud, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, and Lamar Jackson are the only quarterbacks still standing in the AFC, as all of the 11 other quarterbacks got hurt and have been replaced by backups. Just thought that was a crazy stat for this crazy year we've had at quarterback position in the NFL. Brought to you by Andrews Logistics.
It's been a doozy for injuries this year for sure. Obviously, AFC quarterbacks have been plagued the worst as that goes. But let's move on to player of the week. The man of the hour, number 88, and he wears it well. CeeDee Lamb went out for 13 catches, 227 yards, and a touchdown. He had an absolutely disgusting career day, surpassing Michael Irving's single-season receiving yard record. So that was pretty huge. Michael Irving was there, able to witness his record getting broken. Obviously, it's going to get torched because he's going to go for like 300 more this next week against the Commanders. So we're looking forward to that one.
So attaboy CeeDee Lamb. We're gonna need him as we go into the postseason, no matter what seed we are. But thank you to the Eagles for absolutely just wetting the bed against the Arizona Cardinals, letting them come back. What a game. And Kyler Murray played lights out. And the Eagles fans, they weren't too happy. But
well, there was
Cardinals
a certain podcast this last few weeks. I can't remember what the name of it was. Maybe
it was a really good name. It was a really good name. I remember that.
They said something about the Cardinals being sneaky. I don't remember who said that or what podcast that was on, but there was a certain podcast that said the Cardinals were sneaky. So thank you to Arizona. We had been getting trashed all year by Eagles fans for losing to Arizona, all for them to absolutely blow it. Jalen Hurts throws a game-ending Hail Mary throw. And to be honest with you, I was just more surprised that his arm was strong enough to throw it 50 yards downfield. So I was just more surprised that he could make it to the end zone.
I mean, it was just tough because you couldn't call the tush push there. And so it's just, with Jalen,
he didn't have enough time to run it
throw
50 times. So
exactly. When you make Jalen Hurts throw, not always a lot of good things that happen. So with the Cowboys win over the Lions and the Eagles loss, we now control our own destiny. We went on Sunday against Washington, and the 2 seed is ours, and the division is ours. And so obviously this seems like one of those Cowboys situations where, it's happened before where we've had this kind of an opportunity. We've choked it away in the last game against Washington. They're going to come bringing their best. I mean, this game doesn't mean anything for them except for being a spoiler. This might be Ron Rivera's last head coaching job in the NFL, his last game in the NFL. And so I think they're going to bring everything they have, and we're going to need to treat this like a playoff game just against a really bad team. So
I like the situation we're in because you think about the one last year, it was pretty similar to this, but it was like we needed to win, but we needed the Eagles to lose. But now it's a win. It's a win, and you win the division. So all we have to worry about is R11 on Sunday, getting it done. So earlier this week in the Thursday night game, Joe Flacco continues his reign of terror. He throws for 309 yards and 3 touchdowns, absolutely torching the New York Jets defense. We're looking forward to that as Joe Flacco fans because this was going to
Oh
be
yeah,
a tough test for him. And there's people have been making jokes. They're like, these kids ain't nothing to Joe Flacco. He used to have to see Troy Polamalu twice a year. He's having the time of his life right now, torching up on these kids. And I mean, if you look at the stats, if you look at what he's done the last 7 games that he's played, I mean, absolutely. He's my comeback player of the year. That's what I'm giving the award to, is Joe Flacco. He's putting the Cleveland Browns in a position to have good, solid playoff seeding.
well, if I'm giving comeback player of the year to somebody, it's going to be somebody that's played. So absolutely, Joe Flacco deserves comeback player of the year because it's not comeback bench warmer of the year. And so, do with that what you may. But I think Joe Flacco deserves it. He's been balling out of his mind since he got back into the league. And also, we just got to talk about it really quick. Cowboys get the win on Sunday night. A lot of people deemed it controversial because the refs took away a 2-point conversion. The Lions had to win the game because the Lions lineman did not report as ineligible. But I saw a quote today that said, if you're going to try to make things fuzzy for the defense like the Lions did by bringing 3 linemen to the ref, things are going to turn out fuzzy for you. You got to make sure the ref knows the clear guy that's eligible as a receiver. Lions didn't do that. They got penalized for it. They tried to get tricky with it. And then also they had the opportunity 2 more times to either do the 2-point or kick an extra point. So they had opportunities after that. And then, of course, everyone's been talking about the tripping call they called against us that basically gave the ball back to the Lions. That was a tripping call on them. So you can't talk about the 2-point play being rigged or being staged or anything like that. It was just the referees weren't great for the game, but that call did not cost them the game. It just cost them that one play because they didn't execute it very well.
The refs weren't rigging it for one side. Actually, I was curious to see who the most penalized team in the league was. Do you know who that team is? It's the Dallas Cowboys, actually. So you can't sit here and argue that the refs are rigging it for the Cowboys. Obviously, don't need to get too deep into it just because it's been
beat.
I feel like it's beating a dead horse. That was Saturday, and it's been well talked about. But also, here's my thing: is you had the opportunities to tie the game up, and you didn't do it. I mean, don't blame the refs. Blame your coach Dan Campbell for running his offense like he's playing Madden in real life. Just kick the extra point, go in overtime. And also, here's what this is what confused me, is it's like they send 3 linemen to the referee, right? And the whole point of that is to confuse the defense, right? Well, the referee announces to the entire nation who reported in as eligible. So you're not really deceiving anyone. You send 3 guys there, but the ref lets everyone know who the guy reported in as eligible. So yeah, there's nothing to say there. I mean, how about the fact that Jared Goff threw 2 interceptions? That doesn't help you win. How about the fact that earlier in the game, when you're well within field goal range, you turn the ball over on 4th down rather than kicking it and taking the 3 points? Those 3 points came to bite you in the end. But it's like you can point to a billion different things. You can't say that call cost you the game. It's that on top of a billion other things. So you got nothing to be mad about.
It's just one of those things. They're all going to point to that, and that's fine. The thing is, I think we're going to get to play Detroit here in a couple of weeks, like Dan Campbell said. If we get the 2 seed, they're the 3 seed. If we both win the first game that we play, then Detroit would be back in AT&T Stadium for the divisional game. I mean, that'll be a tough one. They'll be mad, fired up. And so also the week before they secured their spot in the playoffs, they secured the division. They got a home playoff game. They haven't had a home playoff game in 30 years. Like, dude, be happy. I'm sorry that you lost, but it also wasn't controversial. You did it to yourself. So we're still fighting for the division right now. They weren't going to move in the seeding. Nobody thought they would. But moving on to some other games, Ravens and Niners both clinched their number 1 seed as everyone thought they would. Ravens are looking like the best team in the NFL right now. They're pretty sneaky because no one's really talked about them this year, but Lamar's really improved as a passer.
They didn't even make it close. I mean, their offense absolutely obliterated the
Yeah.
Dolphins. I mean,
Yeah.
it was not even a game. 56-19. I think everyone was kind of looking forward to that, and the Ravens just blew them out of the water.
Oh yeah.
Lamar Jackson is he's everyone's favorite to win the MVP this year. I think you could go between him, Dak, Tyreek, or Christian McCaffrey. Um, Obviously, I'm gonna take Dak. I'm a Cowboys fan.
Oh, I saw something interesting today. CD is beating Tyreek in total yards, and he's only like 50, 60 behind Tyreek in receiving yards. So I don't think Tyreek's even the offensive player of the year anymore, unless he has like a 200-yard game this next week.
Actually, I think yeah. I think maybe I think CD he's easily a top three receiver. You might even be able to make a case it's like best because
I mean,
he's first in catches, second in total yards, and he's tied for third
yeah, I don't
in
think you can give it to
touchdowns.
Tyreek anymore. I think Tyreek has been kind of trending downward. So um, I would say McCaffrey's still up there, but yeah, it's looking like Lamar's going to win it just because they've been the most dominant team. He's been the most dominant quarterback. That's just kind of how that award, the MVP, has worked now for years. So, but it doesn't matter about regular season. So, but right now in the AFC, it's not looking like anyone can beat them except for one team in their division who they won't play unless they meet in the playoffs. But I think that Joe Flacco could go in there, and I think he could beat the Ravens. I do. I really do
The
think so.
revenge game. I mean, the way Joe Flacco has been playing,
Okay.
it looks like he could beat literally
And
anybody.
the Browns defense is good. I think that would be a game if the Browns go into Jacksonville, because it will probably be Jacksonville, and beat Jacksonville. They will play the Ravens. I think that game would just be so good.
So it'll be a little revenge game, you know. Not that the Ravens necessarily did him dirty,
No.
but just the fact that he gets to go back to Baltimore and show everyone, hey, I still got it.
I think they kind of did do him dirty, actually, if I remember correctly. I think they kind of did when they cut him, is what I heard. I think there's a little bit of something there, a little bit of something. I mean, he had a good career there, so it's not like
I think there obviously has to be whenever the
when you
team you
cut
played with
somebody.
forever
Yeah,
kind of lets you go.
yeah,
Um, but he sat in that backup room behind Zach Wilson, which absolutely blows my mind looking at what he's been doing the last couple weeks or whatever with the Cleveland Browns. And then he goes to Cleveland as Deshaun Watson goes down,
yep.
or is given the starting spot. And I don't think there were really any expectations there at all. Just maybe win more games than you lose of the last seven or whatever that you play. And he hasn't lost a game. He's he's looking like one of the better quarterbacks in today's game. He's leading the Cleveland Browns to success, and hopefully for them that can be sustained through the playoffs.
I agree. So there's been some great stories, including his in the NFL. In terms of a really good game to look forward to, Saturday night, Texans Colts playing for the 6th seed. It's win or go home for those two teams. That's the Saturday night game. I think that'll be a great game. CJ Stroud and Gardner Minshew battling it out. Um, Not much to say there. So the couple of divisions are kind of still up for grabs. Obviously, ours NFC South is still going. If the Bucks win against the Panthers, I think the Bucks do take the division. I'm pretty sure, but
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, uh, yeah,
yeah. And then
they play the Panthers, so that should be an easy win and in for them. The Falcons do play the Saints, but
yeah,
I don't think the Falcons are in a spot to
they
win
are.
the
They are.
division.
Um,
They are. Actually, wait. You know what? They're 7-9, so that would
they
move
would.
them up.
Sorry, they would need the Panthers to beat the Bucks, and they'd have to beat the Saints. It's kind of like
Yeah,
if the Panthers beat the Bucks, then it's whatever team. I think New Orleans or Atlanta wins that game is who the
would
division
win.
winner is.
Yeah,
Hey, the
crazy.
Panthers
I mean,
could play spoiler. They could.
it
Could
may be
happen.
the worst division in football, but
It's
it is
exciting.
eventful until week 18. Like, you
It is.
gotta give them that. It may all be 14. To the NFC South, Bears absolutely blew the Falcons out of the water, 37-17. Another big thing there was the Chicago Bears fan base saying we want Fields, just
They want him.
telling the ownership or whatever that they want to keep Fields. Like, don't draft Williams if you have the opportunity. Build around this guy.
Yep.
Obviously, I don't feel any certain way about that. I do think it would be a better idea to keep Justin Fields and use those draft picks to build some weapons around him. I think he could be a lot better if you could build up that O-line. Maybe give him another receiver if they could get Marvin Harrison. Obviously, I don't know. That the draft order's not completely set in stone yet, but I do
have gotten
think
the first
keeping
pick.
Justin Fields would be the right move there.
Yeah, I think they should keep Fields and draft Marvin Harrison at number 1. I mean, I think it's just clear cut. I think that's what they should do, or trade them to 1 pick. But they have the first pick because the Panthers got last, so that pick is theirs to do whatever they want with it yet again. They're trending up. That Montez Sweat, I think, is his name. That guy they got, he's been good. So they're looking better. So 1 more week left. There's a lot of teams that are still fighting for a playoff spot. I think out of there's 20 teams that are in like challenging for the Super Bowl right now. 11 teams have not secured a playoff spot, is I think the number. So 20 teams are in, 11 teams are fighting for it. Of those 20, 11 of the teams have not secured a playoff spot yet. And so next week we'll be able to come at you with the playoff picture and the solidified version, and so we're pumped for that. Hopefully,
we still don't know for sure who the Cowboys are playing. Obviously, Packers get a big win in Minneapolis over the Vikings. They are also in a spot where they're winning in. Obviously, they're not winning the division, but they're in winning in as the 7th seed. It could also, the Seahawks are still in it, I believe, and then as well as the Rams. The Rams had that 7th seed, but then the Packers surpassed them in this last win. So there are plenty of meaningful games that are going to be played in this Week 18. Obviously, you got us, got the Eagles, you got that Packers one, got the 2 NFC South games. I mean, those are both going to be not good games, but they're meaningful ones.
Hey, there's a lot of important games this weekend coming up. Bills, Dolphins, Sunday Night Football. That'll be a really good one. That's for the division and the 2 seed. So yeah, that'll be a good one. Head to head, Sunday Night Football. Good one to tune into.
Well, here's we like to end our shows on Under Review. I've brought you a quote from the Bo Jackson, one of the greatest dual sport athletes out there, obviously behind Deion Sanders.
Absolutely.
Set your goals high and don't stop till you get there. And that's the truth.
That is the truth. Thank you for tuning in this week. Next week, we'll bring you our playoff preview episode, as we do every year. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week on Under Review with another episode.